She's not on the list. The woman at the entrance didn't look up from the iPad. Just tapped the screen again like she hadn't spoken loud enough the first time. I'm sorry. Martha blinked, still holding the pale yellow gift bag with trembling fingers. Her son's favorite whiskey, wrapped in soft tissue paper. A handwritten card. Nothing fancy, just something to say I'm proud of you. I'm here. Name. Martha Collins. I'm his mother. Pause. Tap. Swipe. I'm sorry, ma'am. There's no +1 or family guest listed under that name. You'll have to wait outside. Wait outside. As if she were the florist. Or the caterer. Or worse, no one. She didn't answer. Her lips parted slightly, but the words dried up in her throat. Somewhere behind the large wooden doors, laughter spilled through, the kind of joyful noise that echoed from marble and money. Someone was getting married. Her son, Jason. He'd asked her not to make a fuss. It's going to be a small thing, Mom. Mostly her family. We'll do dinner sometime soon, I promise. But he hadn't said don't come. She'd taken a flight, a cab, booked the hotel herself. Just to sit in the back and watch. Just to see him smile one last time before he disappeared into someone else's life. But here she was. Not on the list. Her hand clutched the gift bag tighter. She could feel the ribbon cutting into her fingers. A man in a headset walked by. We need this cleared in 5. Bride's car is pulling in. Martha stepped back. Not even a phone call. Not a text. Just this. You're not dead. But we're already living without you. That's what it felt like. The woman at the iPad shifted uncomfortably, glancing up. Do you want to leave it here? The gift? Martha didn't move. Just shook her head, almost imperceptibly. Then turned, the hem of her navy skirt catching in the breeze. The doors didn't close behind her. They never opened for her at all. Outside, the sidewalk was too clean. Too quiet. A black town car pulled up, windows tinted, door ready. She watched the white lace hem of a dress disappear inside. She didn't cry. She just stood there, slowly unraveling the ribbon from the gift bag and letting it fall into the nearest trash can. No one stopped her. No one even noticed. I wasn't erased. I escaped. The night before the wedding, Martha stood at the edge of the hotel bed, carefully smoothing out the dress she'd chosen. Soft dove gray with delicate embroidery along the collar, elegant but quiet. The kind of thing a mother could wear without upstaging anyone. She'd spent hours picking it out. Not too dark, not too light. Respectful. She'd even brought the earrings Jason gave her on his graduation day. Tiny pearls in a silver setting. You always said pearls were timeless, he'd said, hugging her too tightly. She remembered that hug more than the earrings. On the nightstand was the gift bag. Inside. The whiskey he always drank on his birthday. The one he swore tasted like victory. And the card. Handwritten. Not long, just a few lines. No matter who you become tomorrow, you'll always be the boy who made me a mother. I love you. I'm proud of you. Always, Mom. She had planned to hand it to him at the reception. Nothing dramatic. Just slip it into his hands, let him read it when he had a moment. The hotel room was small but clean. She'd ironed everything. Charged her phone. Set 3 alarms just in case. She even laid out a second pair of stockings. She hadn't told anyone she was coming. She didn't want to make it about her. Just wanted to be there. To see him. At 11:42 p.m., she reread his last message. Don't worry about the travel, Mom. We'll get together soon, I promise. He didn't say don't come. He didn't say come either. The space between the lines had been wide, but she'd filled it with hope. She turned off the lamp at midnight, the hum of the AC filling the silence. She imagined the ceremony. Flowers, music, her son in a tailored suit. A woman she hadn't met walking down the aisle. New family, new future. She told herself she'd stay in the back. She wouldn't be seen. Just one glance of him standing there, maybe smiling nervously. Maybe wiping his palms on his jacket like he used to before school recitals. That would be enough. She fell asleep with a small smile. But morning came. And the list didn't include her name. They didn't forget me. They just hoped I wouldn't show. The cafe was only 2 blocks from the church. Martha found it by accident walking without looking. Her legs moved because they had to. She ordered tea without tasting the name, just pointed at something warm. When the cup came, she wrapped her hands around it like it might anchor her to the room. At the table beside hers, two women in pastel dresses scrolled through photos on a phone, giggling between bites of lemon scones. "There's Jason," one said. "God, he looked so nervous before the vows." Martha didn't move. The woman turned the screen. A row of groomsmen, her son among them, smiling, straightening his tie. The photo was time-stamped 11:07 a.m. The ceremony had already happened. He hadn't just excluded her. He'd done it early, quietly, like someone hiding the evidence before a search. The girl with the phone sighed. Her mom cried through the whole thing. "I'd cry too if my daughter married into that much stability." The other laughed. Her mom planned everything. Even the guest list. Said she wanted it clean. Intimate. That word again. Intimate. So intimate that a mother didn't make the cut. Martha stood up too fast, her chair scraping the floor. One of the girls glanced at her, then quickly away. She left the cafe without touching her tea. Outside she breathed too hard. The sky was cloudless, but her chest felt storm-heavy. She sat on a bench near the curb, hands gripping the edge like a child waiting to be picked up. Only no one was coming. She opened her phone. Checked Jason's page. There it was. A post from 30 minutes ago. A photo of the two of them walking back up the aisle, confetti in the air. The caption: "Married my best friend. Surrounded by family. The best day." Surrounded by family. She hadn't been erased. She'd been deliberately written out. The door wasn't locked. It was removed entirely. She put the phone away. People passed by without seeing her. Just a woman on a bench with a gift bag under her arm and nothing left to deliver. She didn't go back to the hotel. Instead, Martha walked 3 blocks in the opposite direction, turning corners like she was trying to lose something that followed close behind. The gift bag was gone now. Left in a trash can by the cafe, half crushed beneath a disposable coffee cup. She passed a florist wrapping up wedding arrangements into the back of a van. The smell of white roses hit her like perfume from another life. At the edge of the old downtown strip, she saw a small sign blinking vacancy and fading red. The Pineway Motel. 1-story, blue doors, and ice machine rattling in the shade. It looked clean. It looked empty. She stepped into the office. A man with graying hair and a Sudoku puzzle looked up. "Need a room?" "Yes. Just one night." He clicked a few keys. "Number 7. Far end. Quietest we got." She paid in cash. She hadn't even known why she brought that much, but now it felt right. No record. No trace. Inside, the room smelled of lemon cleaner and old wood. A bed with a green spread. A TV bolted to the wall. One framed print of a lighthouse in fog. She sat down on the edge of the bed, let the silence press against her ears until it rang. There were no messages on her phone. No missed calls. She turned it off. Not airplane mode, off. "I didn't disappear. I just stopped letting them find me." In the bathroom, she splashed water on her face. Caught sight of herself in the mirror. The dress was too formal here. Like she'd shown up to a funeral that no one else attended. She peeled it off, hung it on the back of the door. Put on a sweater. Pants. Clothes that didn't care about impressions. Then she stepped outside into the parking lot, sat on the curb under the motel's flickering sign, and let herself breathe. The manager walked past with a bucket of ice. Paused when he saw her. "Wedding?" he asked. She nodded. "Didn't go well?" "They forgot the mother of the groom," she said. He whistled low. "That's cold." She didn't answer. He didn't push. Just said, "Need anything, I'm in room 1, and kept walking. The silence after that wasn't heavy. It was hers. The next morning, Martha walked to the diner across from the motel. Her steps were slow but steady, as if her body had caught up to a truth her heart had always known. She sat at the counter. A young waitress with tired eyes and chipped red nails placed a coffee in front of her without asking. "You in town for the wedding?" she asked, glancing at the pale makeup line around Martha's collarbone. "I was," Martha said. No elaboration. The girl gave a small nod, as if she'd heard a story like that before. She refilled the coffee and said nothing more. Martha pulled out her phone again. Turned it on. It buzzed once, an automated hotel survey. Nothing from Jason. She opened her email. Searched his name. There it was. A thread from a few months ago. One line she hadn't noticed before. Buried at the bottom of a forwarded message. Please make sure the final list is only immediate family and bride's guests. No extras. Per Jason. No extras. She'd raised him. Paid for college. Held him through stomach flus and breakups and the night he cried when his dog died. And now she was extra. The opposite of love isn't hate. It's deletion. She stared at that sentence until it blurred. The waitress returned. Want anything else? Just the check. She paid in cash again. Walked to the bus station. Not to leave yet, but to think. The hum of motion calmed her. Wheels spinning. Voices rising and fading. She sat near the window and pulled a folded paper from her purse. A rental application. Already filled out. She'd printed it weeks ago. Not knowing exactly why. Just in case. Another paper followed. A card from her lawyer. Old friend. Trustworthy. She traced the embossed lettering with her thumb. She hadn't told anyone. Not even Jason. But she'd had a feeling. A knowing that had crept into her bones like weather. Not fear. Not even anger. Preparation. That was the second twist. She was ready. I didn't fall apart. I fell into place. Martha stood in front of the motel dresser, flattening the rental application with the side of her hand. The room was quiet, except for the soft tick of the wall clock and the occasional groan of the old air conditioner. The world hadn't stopped. So neither would she. She placed the application into an envelope, sealed it, and slipped it into her bag. Then from the same worn purse, she pulled out a smaller envelope, older, heavier. Inside, her will. Folded, annotated. Marked with a yellow post-it note that read, Review with Alan. Alan Rivers, attorney at law. A man who once told her, after her husband passed, grief is messy. Paperwork doesn't have to be. She dialed his number. Alan Rivers' office, chirped a young voice. Probably newer than the last time Martha had called. This is Martha Collins. I'd like to update my documents. As soon as possible. A short pause then. He has availability Tuesday at 10. I'll be there. She hung up, eyes sharp, hands still. I gave them everything. Now I'm taking something back. Next came the call to her bank. A quiet revocation of joint access. Jason's name disappeared from her emergency contact list. From her medical proxy. From the savings account she once opened for his emergencies. She sat at the tiny motel table with a notepad and wrote 3 things at the top. First, revoke power of attorney. Second, new will. Third, no forwarding address. She stared at that last line for a long time. Then she added a fourth. Fourth, don't explain. Because explaining was what she'd always done. Smoothing the edges. Translating disappointment into understanding. Diluting her pain for their comfort. Not this time. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being precise. At noon she checked out of the motel. Left the key on the dresser. No note. Outside the air smelled of asphalt and gasoline. She hailed a cab. Where to? The driver asked. Train station. Heading home. No, she said, folding her hands in her lap. Somewhere else. The train station was old. Its benches made of worn wood and iron that had outlived fashion. Martha sat near the vending machines watching people carry backpacks, duffels, baby carriers, suit bags. Everyone going somewhere. Everyone moving forward. She had no luggage. Just her purse and the envelope tucked tightly inside. A barista from the tiny kiosk nearby called out. Next. Martha stepped forward. Small black coffee. The girl, mid-20s, bleached hair pulled into a messy bun. Nodded, barely looking up. But as she handed over the cup, she paused. You traveling alone? Yes. The barista hesitated. Then tilted her head. Curious but careful. You look like someone who just left something behind. Martha took the coffee. Maybe I did. Good for you, the girl said. Most people stay too long where they're no longer seen. Martha didn't reply. She just walked back to her bench, the heat of the cup warming her hands. Across from her, a little boy tugged on his mother's arm. Mommy, that lady looks like she's going to do something cool. The woman shushed him gently, smiling an apology toward Martha. But Martha smiled back. He's right, she said. I am. She boarded the train when it arrived, taking a window seat. As the city blurred into fields, then woods, she allowed herself to breathe. She remembered something Jason once said, back when he was still hers. You always make things better just by being there. Now she wasn't there. And things would be different. A ticket agent passed, checking stubs. He looked at her, paused. Ma'am, are you headed home? She looked out the window, the reflection of herself soft in the glass. No, she said. I'm headed toward myself. He nodded once and moved on. She sipped her coffee. No lipstick on the rim. No noise in her phone. Only the sound of motion and distance growing. I used to be their shadow. Now I walk in the sun. It was 3 days later when the message finally came. A missed call from an unknown number. Then a voicemail. Mom, it's Jason. I didn't think you'd actually come. I mean, we talked about it, didn't we? That it was going to be small. Her family wanted it that way, and I didn't want it to be awkward. Call me, okay? She didn't. The next day her phone rang again. Another number. This time it wasn't Jason. Hi, is this Mrs. Collins? This is Emily, Jason's wife. Martha didn't answer. Emily continued, voice brittle around the edges. I think there's been some confusion. Jason told me you were okay with not coming. That you didn't want the travel. But now, there's tension. He's upset. He says you won't talk to him. Maybe we can meet? Talk this out? That afternoon, Martha went to the small library near her new apartment. She didn't respond to either message, but she wrote a letter. Short, ink on heavy paper. 3 sentences. You made your choice. You didn't forget me. You erased me. She didn't send it. She folded it in half and tucked it into the back of her notebook. The next day, a knock on her door. She knew it before she opened it. Jason. Standing there, suit jacket in hand, tired eyes, but no flowers, no apology. Just expectation. I didn't know you were here, he said. You do now. He shifted his weight. Why are you doing this? She looked at him like a stranger trying to sell her something she'd already returned. I'm not doing anything. I'm just not coming back. He blinked. You're my mother. She tilted her head. And now you know what silence sounds like from someone who always showed up. He opened his mouth, closed it. Tried again. You didn't even try to understand. Martha stepped back. I did, she said. For years. But understanding became my prison. He didn't follow her inside. He stood in the hallway, holding nothing, saying nothing. Martha closed the door gently. No slam. Just a click. And in that click was the whole story. 2 weeks later, Jason received a certified letter. He signed for it with confusion, standing in the entryway of the home he now shared with Emily. Inside, a single sheet. A formal notice stating that all financial ties between Martha Collins and Jason Collins had been legally severed. The trust fund she'd set up years ago revoked. Her power of attorney voided. Her new will filed, witnessed, sealed. He read it twice. Then again. Emily hovered behind him. What is it? She cut me out, he said. The words tasted like pennies. No, Emily said, frowning. She's probably just angry. She'll come around. But Jason knew better. Because along with the letter was a copy of her signature on the revised documents. Neat. Clear. Final. She hadn't just disappeared. She had erased him. Meanwhile, across town, Martha sat at a desk in a quiet legal office, sipping water from a paper cup while Alan, her lawyer, slid the last folder across the table. That's it, he said. Everything is filed. Your assets are secure. The medical directives are updated. Your new contact information is private. She nodded. Are you sure you want it this final? He asked. She looked out the window. They made it final, she said. I'm just signing the paperwork. He nodded, closed the folder. As she stood to leave, Alan added gently, You look different, Martha. I am. Different, good. She gave a small smile. Different, free. That evening, she returned to her apartment. No photos on the walls. No frames on shelves. Just a small vase with fresh flowers. A slow-cooking soup on the stove. A new book on the table. Not a trace of the life she left behind. They didn't lose me. I walked away carrying nothing they could claim. Jason would try again, maybe. But by the time he looked back, she'd be too far ahead. The apartment was small but bright. Morning light spilled across the floor, pooling near Martha's feet as she stood by the window holding a cup of tea. No TV murmured in the background. No phone vibrated. The silence was whole. Not lonely. Not hollow. Just hers. Outside, a group of teenagers passed on bikes laughing. A dog barked somewhere below. Across the street, an elderly man trimmed his hedge with deliberate care. Life moved, and this time it didn't ask her to wait for permission to be part of it. The stove clicked once. Her soup had simmered long enough. She turned off the burner and ladled some into a bowl, placing it beside a warm piece of cornbread she'd baked earlier that morning. She ate slowly. No distractions. No guests. This meal wasn't for them. It wasn't made to impress. Or to please. Or to earn anything back. She didn't bake for birthdays anymore. Didn't wrap gifts for people who couldn't make time to call. Didn't wait for holidays that came with forced hugs and cold smiles. She didn't celebrate absence by pretending it was presence. This wasn't revenge. It was relief. I didn't forgive them. I just turned down the volume. She washed the dishes by hand, careful, methodical. Each motion quiet, familiar. The rhythm of her own life returning. When the knock came light, uncertain, she didn't answer. She didn't freeze or hesitate. She simply dried her hands and returned to the window. The knock came again. Then silence. Whoever it was, Jason, Emily, anyone, they would have to sit with that silence. Let it teach them something. Or not. She wasn't responsible for their learning anymore. Martha took another sip of tea. The sun was higher now. Brighter. Warmer. She placed her cup on the sill, folded her arms and closed her eyes. Sometimes peace comes in the form of no reply. And sometimes love is just the end of explanation. What would you have done in my place? If the story hit you, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe. It only gets stronger from here.